reacting to barbers that are charging $100 a haircut. A lot of people rendering out some pretty dumb opinions. A lot of people who are not even barbers or not affiliated with barbers in any way, shape, or form talking about this. And this topic has been going kind of crazy. I seen a video that was released like 2 days ago with 150,000 views. I seen some guy walk up to people randomly on the street and ask them about it and made him try to perform a haircut because the guy was like, yo, it's easy. Anybody can do it. It's not rocket science. And then that guy went up there and butchered somebody's haircut just to prove a point that there's a lot that goes into this. Now, I've been cutting hair since 2003, roughly 23 years or whatever. And it's pretty much the way that I've been able to sustain myself pretty much my entire life. So, yeah, I guess that live, just for those of you guys jumping in now, I just tried to get that live started, but you know, Verizon Wireless is whatever. They never miss the money when you pay that bill, but they kind of miss on the service an awful lot. So, double tap the middle of the screen, and before I even render out some of my opinions here related to this, I'm just curious what you guys think. Do you guys think it's ridiculous to charge $100 a haircut? Now, nobody prefaced anything with any of these arguments, because a lot of these people come in thinking they only want a haircut, but then they're like, yo, I want a shampoo, I want a facial, I want my face shaved, I want my beard done, I want a fade, I want a design. Now, if you're talking about doing a full service on somebody, I really don't think $100 is that ridiculous in some of the metropolitan areas. Any, we'll just say middle of the road metropolitan area, probably right now the average cost of a haircut around the country is between $30 and I would even go as high as $50. I'm just guessing that that's about right in the middle there for what people are charging. But I'm watching these people talk about this like they know everything that goes into a haircut. But the one thing I didn't hear anybody talk about was it's simply really just a matter of supply and demand. You, who are in short supply, and if the demand is high enough for you to be able to charge $100 a haircut, then you could charge whatever you want. What a beautiful car. Damn. That was a Shelby Mustang right there. Nice. At the end of the day, when you work in this business, what you can do and what you can cut, that's how much money you make. You don't make money when you're not at the shop. Most of us don't make money hourly. Most of us either work by rental or commission of some kind. And literally there is zero safety net for you, which is one of the beautiful things about this business. I don't want a safety net. I don't want to know how much I'm going to make. I'm not interested in any of that because that puts a cap on me. But if you have worked long enough and hard enough to build a large clientele, and let's just say you're booked for more than 2 weeks out, it probably is time to raise your haircut price. Now, a lot of these people were saying a lot of the young barbers that are coming into this business with barely having their license for a year, if they got it at all, are in here talking about they know their worth, they're charging their price, they're going to, provide this service. It's going to be I think that is absolutely ridiculous. But the other thing that's ridiculous, because I see both sides of this, when I started cutting hair in 2003, it was $11.50 a haircut. That's how much we made. $11.50. And that really didn't change a whole lot for the longest time. I remember how happy I was when it went up to $15 and people were bitching and complaining, but I'm like, $15, this is great. We're charging $15 now. Now we're making money because at $11.50, people were giving you maybe $15, and that was good with a tip. You were kind of happy back then. But when we raised it to 15, we were getting 20 for the tip, which was pretty cool, right? So I have watched everything go extremely high around me, from the price of gas to the price of groceries to the price of a apartment, the price of my truck that I'm driving, the price of everything around me has skyrocketed. And the one thing that has been so slow to come up in price was the haircut price. But alongside of that, the other bullshit that went on was people started asking for so much more stuff. People were so happy to just come in the barbershop years ago and get a number 2 on the back and side, scissors on top. And that took you like 10 minutes, right? And you were making that $11.50 or that $15, or eventually it was 20. You were making that money and you were happy because it didn't take you too long. You could do 4 of those in an hour and you could make $80 an hour, even cutting hair for that low. But people started asking for all this shit. They want enhancements. They want the edge up perfect. They want the fade perfect. They want me to shape out their beard. They want a million little details to be looked after, which I'm more than happy and more than capable of doing. But all of these things added time to the service and the money never was reflected. You don't have to go out and get a Wagyu burger. You could go to McDonald's and you could get a $3 burger if you want. At least in this country you can. And then, yeah, thank you, Neil. He said COVID changed the business because one of the things that I think people realized during COVID was, number one, none of these barbers wanted it to hang it up. None of these barbers they just wanted to make their money. We just wanted to go to the shop, not be bothered, to make our money. And clients were hitting us up. Hey, I'll give you 50. I'll give you 100. I'll give you 200 for a haircut. So all these haircuts were happening in garages, and all of a sudden, the supply and demand, it shifted. We were in high demand. We were in short supply. Therefore, the price went up. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If the price is going to go up because you're in high demand and you're in short supply, then I think it makes sense for you to charge whatever you could get. You know, and on the other side of it, when they started adding all these extra services and all this stuff, I mean, this was such a long time. I mean, we just went to $35. At my shop, we went to $35 for a fade like 2 years ago. And we have not moved the price from there. And I'm currently happy. For me, I'm not really worried about charging a crazy amount of money because I always wanted to have a shop that you could come to with your son. It's like a cultural thing, you know. People grow up going to barbershops. They go there with their fathers. They get to know the barber. I didn't want to have a shop that was so expensive that a guy felt like he couldn't afford to come there with himself and 2 kids. And I have cut generations of kids. I've cut kids that were on booster chairs who are adults and have graduated college and have started businesses at this point. So I never wanted to like try to work somebody over in my particular case. So where am I located? I'm in Naples, Florida. And for those of you guys who don't know, Naples, Florida is probably one of the richest. I don't know if it's top 10 richest places or whatever, but people here got some bread. It's very expensive here. Everything is expensive here, except for us. But everything is expensive here, by and large. You can't really get an apartment in Naples, Florida, like a 2 or 3 bedroom apartment in Naples, Florida. You're going to be paying $2 or $3 grand a month. Greetings from Moscow. What up? What up? So whether you think it's ridiculous or not, I personally don't have a problem with it. I mean, the problems start when people come out of barber school with hardly any experience and they start charging way too much, and they've never built a clientele. They've never given themselves the opportunity to get those reps in. They've never really built any actual business skills, and they come in there and they expect to get paid some crazy amount of money because you went to barber school. Congratulations, you passed a 30-question test if you had the restricted barber license in Florida, or you passed a 100-question test. You had to sit through school, but the whole purpose was to just pass the test. And if you actually think, honk twice for Moscow, what up, bro? I'm honk, I had these people looking crazy at me. But the thing about it is, barbering can be a great way to make some good money, but it's going to take you some time. You shortcutted the whole system. Maybe you didn't go to college, so you can say 4 years you would have went to college if you'd have went to grad school, whatever. But I'm saying, like, for 4 years for undergrad, you'd have went to college, you'd have came out, you'd have made what, 50, 60 grand. Maybe you get lucky, make 70 grand. You could smash that in the barbershop. you should never, if you've been in the business for a long time, you should never be making no 70 grand. You should be doing much better than that at the shop after some years. But you got to put your time in. So when you first get out of school, you got to put your time in. And that's the part that a lot of people were not talking about when they were having this argument, like, oh, people charging $100 a haircut is just ridiculous. You can't put a blanket statement out there and say it's ridiculous. If you are so busy that you're booked beyond 3 weeks, why shouldn't you be able to raise your price? And if you continue raising your price and you continue getting customers, why shouldn't you be able to continue raising your price? I mean, at the end of the day, it's just supply and demand. And there's nothing different about this business than many other businesses. And I read somewhere, I don't know how the hell they measured this, but they were saying that the barber business is down some crazy amount of money, like $400 million a year, because barbers are charging too much. I think that's probably not true at all. But the only thing I can say to that is longer haircuts are definitely back in style. And this has all happened before. I've lived through this. Where people started wearing their hair long. And guess what? When they wear their hair long, they don't come to the barbershop as much. When you got all these fluffy tops, broccoli, mushroom, llama-looking cuts, roving around, kids wanting to wear the bangs in their face, well, those guys are not coming to the shop as frequently. But when you got that guy who gets a skin fade and comes in every week, every 2 weeks, I'm personally not going to ding him for $100. I value those clients that are loyal, that come to me regularly, and in that case, I'll give them a break off of those things. He said, you remember that guy you messed up yesterday? Yeah. God, if some of these people, bro, they don't understand. And so it's so funny because you know what's funny about that guy? He gave me $100. How much did you make while you were watching that? And that's the other thing too, is like clients who are generous, they're always going to take care of you. No matter what you charge. I guarantee you, any barber that's in here who's been cutting hair, going the extra mile and taking care of people, probably has quite a few clients that throw them $100. There's people out there that take care of you. And there's people out there that don't. And you don't have to go to a barbershop and ask for everything under the sun. And you might find that you don't pay quite as much. And if you can't afford to go to the barbershop and pay $40 or $50 a haircut, there's plenty of salons around you could go to. You could go to Supercuts. You could go to any one of those chains, and they'll give you a half decent haircut. They're not going to do the straight razor. They're not going to do a lot of the extra stuff that you want. But you can't go into Burger King. I mean, you can't go into a steakhouse and be mad at the price of the steak. When you go into Capitol Grill, you're like, hey man, why you guys charging more to Outback? You still selling steak? I personally like Outback. I actually think they do a great job. At least the one over here does. But there's people who are going to go to Capitol Grill regularly. And, you know, that's the beautiful thing about it. There's variety here. You can do what you can afford to do at the end of the day. And for some people, it's going to be too much money. How much is a haircut in your city right now? Y'all drop it in the comments right now. How much are you paying for a haircut where you live right now? And if it's a different country, tell me roughly how much that would be in American dollars. You know, Americans are ignorant of other countries, and we don't really know a whole lot, most of us. But I'm just curious if I was to ask around the rest of this room how much you guys are paying for haircuts. So like $18 to $25. See, wherever you're at, if you're paying $18 to $25, I mean, God, that was the price that I was charging 10 years ago. Not even. So the prices have just started to kind of come up. But how fair is it that every other business can raise their prices? Every other cost that you have in life goes up. Everything that you're trying to do in life just costs so much money now. And you're supposed to cut hair for $15 a haircut still? I mean, it isn't it isn't going to work. I mean, people are not going to want to do that. So you're going to wind up with less. You're going to wind up with lower quality haircuts at the end of the day. Whoever walks in the barbershop, be like, yo, I want a low quality cut. I want you to take the least amount of time you possibly can and blow through this haircut as fast as you can. Because if we're charging less than $20 a haircut, and these guys, like, I don't know what you guys think about business wise, but me business wise, when I'm cutting hair, my goal is to make $120 an hour. That's my goal. I want to make $120 an hour, and I usually do. So that's usually my goal right there. Obviously, when I'm going live on YouTube and I'm taking my time, I'm explaining my cuts. Dude, these are real customers. They're coming in just getting regular, haircuts, stuff that we're normally doing, and they're being very cool to sit through these lives and let you guys, in some cases, criticize their haircut or criticize what they walked in looking like, yada yada yada. But I'm showing you guys what it's really like. What it's really like. He said, "What's the best trimmer?" Simply put, in my opinion, the best trimmer is still the Sabre trimmer. There's some good trimmers out there, but when you get right down to it, if you want a trimmer that is going to be good on every type of hair, and that's kids' hair, like the vellus hair. Sometimes that vellus hair doesn't get cut that easy. Gray hair, sometimes that can be tough to cut. Dark, thick, coarse, curly hair. Like, these trimmers can just blow through any type of hair, and that's the beauty of the Sabres. And they do it, and they stay quiet, and they run forever, and they're just awesome. Best foil shaver, I would have to go with the Instincts. If you want the maximum performance, if you want something that gets the job done quickly, because again, like one thing I didn't even talk about with the $100 haircut is how much money we currently have invested in our tools, which really, it was my decision to invest in good tools. So if I'm like a carpenter, I can't show up and be like, hey man, I bought a $400 hammer, so this job costs more. Like, that don't make no sense. But I'm just saying, like, there are costs associated with this, especially when it comes to trying to keep everything clean and sanitary. When you spray your tools in between cuts, you're supposed to let that sit for a little while so it can actually disinfect. You don't just spray it and put it right back on somebody's head. So what does that mean? Well, that means you have to have a couple of machines. You have to have a couple of trimmers. You have to have a couple of shavers. You have to have a couple of clippers. And, if we're going about this ethically, that's what we're supposed to be doing. So, FX3 foil shaver is a good shaver. FX3 has been out for a long time. Probably, God, that probably came out in what? If I'm guessing, I think that came out in 2020. Probably maybe even earlier. 2019, possibly. He said your beard is long. 5 years. Growing 5 years. But, the other thing, too, is like, for those of you guys who are cutting hair and got your identity wrapped up in being a barber, and, it's the sole thing that what you are, your identity is all in that. Like, I never really look at myself as just a barber. As a matter of fact, right now, I'm on my way to meet a client to go potentially film their wedding. Well, not potentially, we're going to film their wedding. So I like to film, I like to edit, I like to create, and I've used all of the skills that I actually built at the barbershop: advertising, filming, social media, editing, all of these things that I've actually built a strong foundation on in the barbershop, I'm using to generate more money elsewhere. Excuse me, coming through. And that's the beautiful thing about this business is you'll be around so many people that can open your mind to so many different things. I've had so many clients that I was able to learn from, businessmen, people who are investors, promoters. Like, I mean, you name it, there's probably something you can learn if you keep your ears open. But a lot of these wealthy people that live here in Naples, you know, most people who are super wealthy are used to people doing what? They're used to people wanting something from them with their hand out. But a lot of people don't approach these people the right way and say like, hey, you know, maybe I don't want your money, I want your knowledge. Reading some of y'all comments. Denver, Colorado, $50 to $70. He said in the Asian places only charge $25. Yeah, Tomato is asking a lot of questions about tools, and I think you're arriving to the same conclusion that a lot of people are currently now with the way reviews are. You could go on Amazon, start reviewing something, and you start reading all the different things about it, and then you kind of come to the same conclusion. You're right back to where you started. Somebody says it's great. Somebody says it's terrible. And when you get right down to it, you wind up right back where you started. So that's why it's cool for like you guys who jump on here and join me in these lives where I could kind of show you guys in real time what everything is doing. So we've been going live multiple times a week, trying to make a real consistent effort to be out here and showing you guys this. A lot of times I'm taking these tools right out of the box and using them. So, you know, that's the thing. Like, here's the reason why barbershops are getting slower, because you got people. There's all these people walking by. And I was gonna take a quick shot of them, but you got people out here wearing their hair longer, and that's just what it is. He said, I don't know which one to get, the JRL Onyx or the Saber 2. Both great machines. Both of them are going to do what you want to do. It really just boils down to, do you want something that's kind of more circular and longer, or do you want something that's more compact and a little more square? I personally think the Saber 2, we were talking about this at the educational retreat. It was like 23, 24 of us, and we were just asking everybody what do they think the best clipper ever made was. And it was pretty unanimous there that everybody said the Saber 2. The Saber 2 is just going to do everything you want it to do, and it's a very good clipper. Where would you rate the Rain clipper versus the Saber 2 and the Rebel 2.0? That's a great question. So the Rain clipper internally is the same motor as the Saber 2. It's an Eon digital brushless motor, very high quality brushless motor. So the form factor is a little different. The Rain is plastic. It doesn't come with so much stuff in the box, but it's less money than the Saber 2. And it comes with the Echo Crunch taper blade, which is really good for flicking, detailing, and fading, whereas the Saber 2 comes with the regular Echo blade, and that blade is very good for removing really any harsh guidelines, and honestly, just a good utility blade all the way around. Said I have the JRL Onyx with the Echo blade, and it's my baby. Preferences, man. Yep. He said, "What's your favorite haircut to do?" I really like doing skin fades still. You know, I like doing. I actually kind of like doing those fluffy tops with a skin fade, because thankfully all of the experience that I have cutting long hair, having been a cosmetologist before I started, blending the skills of cosmetology to barbering is something that I feel like I can do really well. Like Kyle's hair, I cut it yesterday on the live. During the live, we did that haircut in about, I usually do that haircut in about 25 minutes, and it comes out really cool. But I just like anything that I can create a lot of contrast in, and I like doing designs a lot too. You know, anytime I get to kind of break the normal rules of cutting hair, that's something I really enjoy to do, because I spent my whole life being, you know, we got to be careful, we got to be precise, we got to, you know, not cut too much. We don't want to take, you know, but when you do a design, you get to break every rule, and it makes it a lot of fun. Now, the last part of your question with the Rebel 2, how does that one fit into the picture? Well, the Rebel 2 is the lowest cost out of all three. You named the Saber 2, the Rebel 2, and the Rain. The Rebel 2 is the lowest cost, but also has the most torque. So really good for clipper over comb, bulk removal, and actually very easy to blend with, because it's not a super high output motor. He said, I'm an at-home barber. I was gifted a Babyliss Pro FX. Is it overkill? No, I don't think it's overkill. I mean, that's a decent middle of the road clipper. I mean, it's not bad. They have good motors. Blades are pretty good. I've never been like a huge fan of the flashlight shape personally, so I like things to be a little more square. But hey, man, there's plenty of people that love it, and it's a fine clipper. Nothing wrong with it. So, all right, you guys, I got this client I got to go meet. I just thought it'd be fun to get on here and chop it up with you guys for a minute. I will be going live again real soon. If you guys want to purchase any of this stuff, you guys know you guys can use the code live67 with anything related to Stylecraft Gamma if you guys want to save some money. And sometimes the discount's a little more, sometimes it's a little less. So pump that discount code in there, see what you guys get. And I will catch you guys in the next video. I'm out of here. Peace.